Okay, great. So welcome back. In this module, we're going to look at goal setting and how this is used within world-class hypnosis scripts, what impact it has to the client in that moment, and also what's the lasting impact it has to the client longer term. I'm going to show you just how easy this element is to create, yet how powerful it can positively affect your client when it's structured in the right way. Now, one of the great things is that once you learn how to set a goal within your script, you can then set a number of goals within the same script, further adding to the momentum and the progress that will be achieved by your client during and also after the session. Now, very simply, goal setting within a script can be broken down into four main areas of focus. The first one we'll look at time frame. And so time frame being used and how you can adapt and modify this to create various future goals for your client. The second part we'll look at is the area of life that we're going to focus on, the area of life that the results or behavior actually impacts. We'll also look at the results or the desired behavior that comes from overcoming the problem and potentially the challenge that they're facing, and also sometimes referring to an indirect result, and so how that result or how that change in behavior can impact other people around the client. And then finally, we'll look at the positive emotion that results from making these changes. Now, occasionally when my amazing partner Jess and I decide to go on road trips, and we sometimes go down and visit my parents who live near Melbourne, Australia. And when we drive from Sydney to my parents' place, we generally have two choices as to which route we're going to take. We can either take the shorter route, which takes about approximately 10 hours, or we can take the longer route that takes about 10 and a half hours. And more often than not, we typically choose the shorter route. Now, I remember driving along the shorter route the very first time, and being someone that loves data and analysis from time to time, I was actually tracking our expenses and also looking at the car's performance. And so as we were driving, we found ourselves driving up and down these large mountains and that were sort of part of a national park area. And as we were winding around the sides of the mountains, and this sort of happened for about 2 or 3 hours throughout the trip. And finally, when we arrived at my parents' place, I realized that the car had used more fuel than it normally does for that type of distance. And so when I thought about it, I realized that this was because we'd driven up so many big hills and mountains along the way. And as I'm sure you're aware, anytime a car needs to drive uphill, it requires more fuel. And so we as humans are very much like a car. In life, we're going to face some uphill moments, those situations that test us, those experiences where it requires more effort to keep going and push through. Those uphill moments in our life where we need more emotional fuel to get to the top so that we can start that easy run down the other side of the hill. Now, I think it's safe to say that a hypnosis session is not going to make anyone's life perfect or free from any challenges. Because look, everyone's going to face those uphill moments in their life. So why not make it easier for your client to handle those moments? Now look, the overall aim of goal setting within a world-class hypnosis script is to enhance and amplify our client's motivation. And more specifically, they're moving towards motivation. There's pleasure motivation. And this is achieved by creating an internal representation or a mental picture of what the client would actually like to achieve sometime in their future. What they like to, what sort of results they want having overcome their problem. And so this develops more emotional association for the client towards their desirable outcome. And thereby what it actually does is unconsciously, it gives the client more emotional fuel in their tank for those inevitable uphill moments that they're going to encounter. Now, the goal setting element can be broken down into four main chunks. The first chunk is the time or the time frame. What is the time frame that you're going to choose to use to focus your client on regarding this future moment? Will it be 2 weeks, 30 days, 7 days, maybe even 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe even a year? It's entirely up to you. My recommendation would be create a goal in at least a fortnight time and another one in 3 months time as well. The next area we'll look at is the area of life. And this further directs the client to focus on a specific area of life that's been positively impacted during the goal setting section. You might be creating a script on helping someone stop snoring, for example. And so the area of life you may choose to focus on could be, an example of one would be the quality of sleep that the client may be getting. Another area could be the energy levels that they'll feel throughout the day. Another one could be the mental or emotional state that their partner may experience. And there's a whole heap of other areas that you could start to focus on. The next area we're going to look at is the results or the behavior, the desirable results or behavior. And this refers to what specific result or behavior do you want the client to focus on? What is the outcome and benefit of overcoming this problem? What result does the client get in this future moment? And what result does this create for people around the client as well? So really starting to look at an indirect result that can be obtained by making these changes. For example, if you're helping someone to have more confidence, a possible result could be that the client is in a situation whereby they're speaking to someone that they've just met for the first time and that they're looking them in the eye and feeling connected to that person and feeling very comfortable. An indirect result could be that the person the client is speaking to more confidently becomes inspired to work with a client due to that client's ability to communicate so effectively and confidently. So again, the results can be something that directly relates to the client, or it can be something that indirectly impacts somebody else through the client's actions or behavior. Look, my recommendation is to include both a direct and indirect result. The final part we'll look at is positive emotions. And this refers to the emotional state that's generated by the results of behavior. So for example, if your client has achieved this amazing outcome, what's the positive emotion that would be created by this? So here's a basic structure outlined that shows some place markers that really allow you to just fill in the blanks in order to create your own engaging, goal-setting, world-class hypnosis script element. So you can see it says, I wonder if you could imagine yourself, and then to insert a time frame from now. So again, an example would be, I wonder if you could imagine yourself 2 weeks from now and look at yourself, and then you insert the result or behavior, insert a positive emotion, and then insert an area of life. And you also notice that you have insert a result or behavior again, and you feel insert a positive emotion because you can now and insert an area of life. And so as you've got in front of you, a specific goal-setting example for snoring, for example, is, I wonder if you can imagine yourself 2 weeks from now. Look at yourself, waking up in the morning, feeling wonderful and refreshed, having had another good night's sleep. You turn over and you see the smiling face of your partner, who begins to tell you how good their sleep was and how grateful they are that you took steps to now sleep peacefully and quietly every night. Okay, well now that you have an understanding of what it takes to make up a goal-setting component within a script, let's put that knowledge into practice and develop some competency in it. So what I'll ask you to do now is to write a short paragraph focusing on the client on their goal in present tense, ensuring the following parts are included. The first part is the time frame. So choose a time frame. Is it going to be 2 weeks, 5 days, 7 days? What's the time frame you're going to choose? Part B, what area of life are you going to look at? Is it going to be improved confidence, snoring, learning faster, whatever it might be? What sort of results are you going to focus your client on? Then looking at the positive emotion that will be generated by getting these amazing results. And I'll ask you to write a very short paragraph ensuring that all 4 of those elements are included within this short script component. Really starting to get our client to focus on them achieving this goal, this future goal. Once you've finished that, again, it should only take about 5 to 10 minutes. What I ask you to do is write another short paragraph, focusing the client on their future goal using a longer time frame now. So if you use 2 weeks earlier, what I ask you to do is use 1 month or use 3 months and create another goal around that. Fantastic. Well, look, what I'll ask you to do is be a part of the community, and that you share your thoughts, your questions, and even your comments with both myself and other members by using the comment section below. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But look, my question for you is this: how did you find this module? I'd love to hear your responses in the comment section. Look, thanks again for watching, and when you're ready to jump into the next module, I'm going to actually show you how to create powerful hypnotic suggestions. You know, the real meat of the hypnotic sandwich. So look, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.